The Carolina Panthers are officially open for business, and the rumors are flying faster than a blitz off the edge. We are talking about potential departures that could completely reshape the identity of this football team. From veteran playmakers drawing interest from playoff contenders to a shakeup in the backfield that feels inevitable. Dan Morgan is not sitting on his hands. Something big is brewing in Charlotte, and you need to be ahead of the curve. Before we break down these exclusive reports, do me a huge favor. If you love this team and want the real insider scoop, help us hit 1,000 subscribers by smashing that button right now.
Let's get straight to the business at hand, because the phone lines in Charlotte are beginning to ring, and the names on the other end are significant. According to league sources and emerging reports, a key player on the Carolina Panthers roster, a veteran presence who has been the subject of trade speculation for weeks, is now formally attracting interest from two very specific organizations, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Minnesota Vikings. When you hear those two franchises mentioned, you know this is serious. Both teams are looking to bolster their rosters for a playoff push, and they view Carolina's talent pool as a place to acquire a proven commodity. The specifics here are crucial. This isn't just idle chatter. This is about asset management. The Panthers are in a phase where they must maximize value for players who may not fit the long-term timeline. And if a team like Pittsburgh is calling, it means they see a grit and toughness in this player that fits their culture. Minnesota, on the other hand, is always looking for offensive versatility. But let me tell you what this really means, because I need you to understand the gravity of the situation. When the Steelers and the Vikings come knocking, they are trying to pick the bones of a franchise that they think is vulnerable. It is an indictment on where the Panthers are right now, but it is also an opportunity. If I am Dan Morgan, I am listening to every single offer. You do not hang up the phone. You want to take my veteran player? Fine. Show me the draft capital. Show me the picks. This team needs to build around Bryce Young, and you cannot do that holding on to pieces that do not belong in the future puzzle. It is about being ruthless. The fact that these contenders are interested proves that there is talent in Carolina, but is that talent serving the Panthers, or is it just wasting away on a rebuilding roster? That is the question. You have to look at this from a strategic standpoint. If you move this player, you clear cap space, you game a pick, and you open up a roster spot for a young, hungry dog who wants to eat. That is how you build a culture. You don't build it by holding on to guys who have one foot out the door. But here is the kicker, and this is the part that keeps me up at night. If you make this trade, who steps up? Who fills the void? Because if you strip this roster down too far, you leave your young quarterback on an island with no help, and that is a recipe for disaster. So Dan Morgan, you better be careful, because this next decision could define your entire tenure.
This trade market is moving fast, and you cannot afford to miss a single update. If you want to keep getting exclusive insights like this and stay ahead of every rumor, subscribe now and join the most informed community in the NFL. While the trade market heats up for pass catchers and defensive pieces, there is another situation unfolding in the backfield that we need to address immediately. Analysts across the league are looking at the Carolina depth chart. They are looking at the production numbers, and they are coming to the same conclusion: a move needs to be made. This player has been listed as someone who either needs to be traded or released to find an opportunity elsewhere. When you look at the financials and the on-field output, the math simply does not add up for the Panthers to maintain the status quo. The running back market is brutal, we know this, but for Carolina, this is about efficiency and allocating resources to positions that directly impact the development of the offense. The coaching staff is looking for explosiveness, they are looking for value, and right now, this particular veteran is finding himself on the outside looking in. Let me be very clear about this, because this is what frustrates me to no end. You cannot pay a running back premium money to give you pedestrian production. It is blasphemous. When you look at this list of change of scenery candidates, it is not just a polite suggestion, it is a demand for accountability. If you cannot hit the hole, if you cannot make the first man miss, then you have got to go. I don't care what the name on the back of the jersey is. The Carolina Panthers do not have the luxury of carrying dead weight. You have Chuba Hubbard running like his hair is on fire, proving he deserves the rock, and then you have this situation? No, it is time to cut the cord. This is the National Football League, not the four-long league. If you are not producing, you are replaced. That is the nature of the beast. And for the Panthers, moving on from this running back is a statement. It says that the best player plays, regardless of the contract. It sends a message to that locker room that nobody is safe if they don't perform. But here is the strategic dilemma that Dan Morgan faces right now. Do you try to get a late-round pick for him, or do you just eat the money and release him to clear the roster spot immediately? Because every day he remains on the roster is a day that a younger player isn't getting those reps. The clock is ticking and the patience is wearing thin. But if you think the running back room is the only place facing a major shakeup, you are sorely mistaken, because the quarterback room is about to get very interesting.
We have arrived at the most critical piece of news, and this comes directly from the top. Dan Morgan has sent shockwaves through the organization. He explicitly admitted that while no official conversations have started yet, he is absolutely open to trading veteran quarterback Andy Dalton if the Red Rifle wants to seek opportunities elsewhere. Morgan highlighted a very specific desire. He wants to rejuvenate the backup quarterback position behind Bryce Young. This is a strategic pivot. The Panthers are looking at the quarterback room not just as a starter and a backup, but as a developmental pipeline. Keeping a veteran like Dalton has value for mentorship, sure, but Morgan is signaling that he values youth and potential upside more than having a safety net. This is a clear indication that the front office wants to align the entire roster timeline with their young franchise quarterback. Stop the presses right now. Did you hear what I just said? Dan Morgan is willing to trade the only guy in that room who has seen everything? Some of you might say this is risky, but I say this is exactly what needs to happen. This is Bryce Young's team, period, point blank. You do not need a veteran looking over his shoulder. You need a young guy who knows his role is to learn and support. By trading Andy Dalton, you are removing the crutch. It is a bold move, it is a courageous move, but it is the right move. You want to get younger? Good. Get a guy who can grow in the system for 3 or 4 years. Don't pay a veteran premium money to hold a clipboard when you can develop a cheap asset. Dan Morgan is showing me something here. He is showing me that he is not afraid to make the uncomfortable decisions. He is not afraid to shake up the comfort zone. But let's be real for a second. If you trade Andy Dalton, you better make sure Bryce Young stays healthy. Because if he goes down and you have a rookie backup who doesn't know left from right, the season is over before it begins. That is the gamble. That is the high-stakes poker game they are playing in Carolina. But I respect the aggression. I respect the vision. They are tearing it down to build it back up the right way. But with all these potential exits, the trade candidate to Pittsburgh, the running back on the way out, and now Dalton, the question remains, who is actually going to be left standing when the dust settles?
We are witnessing a complete philosophical overhaul in Carolina. Dan Morgan is not just tweaking the roster, he is aggressively purging the old guard to make way for a new era. From trading assets to the Steelers and Vikings, to clearing out the running back room, to potentially moving Andy Dalton, the message is crystal clear. No one is safe, and the future starts now. But I have to ask you, the fans, is this too much change too fast? Or is it exactly what this franchise needs to finally turn the corner? I'll hear your thoughts in the comments below. Let's debate this. And remember, for the best Panthers coverage every single day, this is your home. We are in this together.